It's a new year. The challenge is not getting started. Millions of Americans get started every single year. The real challenge is sticking with it. Why does everybody fail, and what can you do about it? That's what we're talking about in today's episode.
Can we first start by addressing this interesting new movement this year in the fitness space where there's a bit of a shaming going on. Have you seen that?
No.
There's a lot of companies right now that are jumping on this. I saw Equinox has marketing around this, which I thought was really interesting.
What are they shaming?
People for quitting. Basically, a lot of
that works.
Yeah.
So a lot of the marketing right now, they're not the only ones. They were just the most recent one that I had seen. I had seen a few. I've seen some trainers that have been promoting this too, and it's this idea of like, don't be like everyone else. Don't be this quitter. I mean, Equinox came out as far as saying that they weren't going to sell any memberships until a certain date. That we're not letting anybody in that just that's a New Year's resolution goal and then going to quit. So real interesting type of marketing.
That's a new tactic.
It's all I mean, they're still just trying to capture the motivation that happens at the beginning of the year. They're trying to just capture onto that wave. I mean, it is a real thing. By the way, shame is a terrible way to get anybody to stay consistent with anything, with any habit.
I know.
In fact, shame is a very important part of the formula that causes people to relapse into bad habits. That's a fact. So whether it's eating too much or drinking alcohol or drugs or not exercising, I mean, all of us have experienced this. You try to accomplish something, you fail at it, then you pile on the shame and you reach for that thing that you always reach for when you don't feel good, which is whatever that bad behavior is. So terrible.
And on the positive note, this, even though a lot of people do fail, do fall off, there is a percentage of people that this is when it happened for them. This was the time, this was the year, this was they had said it many times before, and then finally this is the year that they got started and stuck with it. And I do think that there are some common reasons why people don't. I think that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, let's talk about that and talk about what people can do to become a part of the statistics of the people that maintain and succeed. So the start of the year is a huge explosion of activity for gyms. Gyms will see typically on average a 40% increase in gym traffic. Now, we all worked in the gym industry for a long time, and it was so different. Like by the second or third week of January, because the first week of January really is an extension of December if you work in the gym. It's the same. It's not really, it doesn't really pick up that much. Dead. All of a sudden, it's almost like overnight. By the second or third week, it just gets crazy. People who've had memberships who don't use it all of a sudden start using the gym again. And then you get tons of interest in people coming in wanting to get memberships, wanting to get in shape. There's interesting data around this. 80% of people, when surveyed, have a New Year's resolution. And the majority of those resolutions revolve around losing weight and fitness. So most people have a New Year's resolution because the calendar said New Year. And the number one resolution is always and has been for as long as we've been surveying these things revolving around fitness. Now, the data around that actually pulled up some interesting data on what that looks like. So 1 out of 10 people said that their resolution lasted a month. 21% reported 2 months, 22% reported 3 months, 13% said their resolution lasted 4 months. Only 1% said they lasted for 11 or 12 months. So most people make it past a month, essentially. And it's really, they start to fall off about month 3 or 4. And that's all what we notice, right? So January gets crazy. March starts to die down and gets
and they're just white knuckling their way through the whole experience.
Yep.
I mean, that's really what's driving them is that initial momentum and I can make it. And that's really what they're living off of.
Yeah. And as trainers and gym managers, we actually played a role in a lot of these people failing because you get this huge influx of people, this highly motivated state of mind that people would come in with. Either they were just sick and tired of feeling whatever, or they felt guilty from the holidays. This is the year I change everything. And, as a gym manager or as a trainer, I would try to capture this momentum. And I thought, well, if we do everything all at once, that's going to be the best bet. So we actually encouraged the behaviors that tend to lead to failure without even realizing. And I thought, well, if if I do everything right and I give them all the answers and we do everything all at once, and then maybe I can show them results and that'll keep them coming.
Yeah.
Never worked.
I think that was the thought, is that urgency, because you have them for this brief moment. You know that it's probably not going to last. And so you're trying your best to show them some glimpses of success and some movement there in terms of like their goal. But we're us setting them up in that direction. It just, it leads for such a short path.
Yeah, we're definitely guilty of being a big part of the problem for sure. And I don't know how much of it, I want to believe that most of it was coming from a good place, right? I want to believe that most of it was I wanted to show my clients results. And so at that point in my career, I thought the more we did, the faster we would see results. I'm sure a lot of that was heavily motivated too by my desire to keep my book full. And if you show them results, they'd most likely re-sign. And so I probably wasn't thinking about the longevity of that client and, where will they be in 2-3 years. All I cared was how quick can I show these people results so they continue with me and I've got a full book. And it took me a long time to realize that even though I wouldn't show them results as fast by doing it the right way, that I'm more likely to not only show them better long-term results, but also would end up keeping them. I think that was the mistake I made as a trainer, was thinking that if I didn't show them these quick results, they would fire me and go to somebody else, or they would quit and not show up and keep going. But I think that's because I didn't have the words to communicate what was happening. I didn't understand how to explain to them why it wasn't a good idea that we do all these things while they're heavily motivated in telling me I want to do all these things.
Yeah. Who am I to tell them no?
Right.
Yeah. I think, you can boil this down to people do the number one reason why people can't stick with their new fitness habit is they do too much too soon. They go in all at once, and there's even some incentives. Of course, these exist from people on the fitness side of capturing that revenue. Right? You get somebody who comes in who's like, "Yes, I want to get in shape. I want to lose 40 pounds," and you're talking about personal trainer. Like, "Yes, I'm going to get a trainer," and you're like, "Well, how many days a week can you come to the gym?" 5 days a week, done. 5 days a week of sessions, and you sell this big package of training. And what you've actually done is set them up for failure. When you look at the data on big behavior changes, regardless of what they are, and here we're talking about a lifestyle change that involves exercising regularly, that involves changing your diet and your lifestyle to become more fit and healthy, which, by the way, just a little side note, is a big deal. Okay, that's not just a small little change. This is a potentially a big deal. This is changing quite a few things. If you do that all at once, the odds of success are extremely small. And this is true for any behavior that you try to adopt that is drastically different from the ones you're doing now. The odds of success that it's going to stick around diminish as the motivation starts to diminish, which always happens. The only time the data shows that this sticks around is in the rare occasion of an epiphany, which almost never happens. An epiphany is you'll know you had an epiphany, like you had a heart attack and you almost died, and you're surrounded by your kids on your deathbed, and then you come to life and you're like, I'm changing everything, right? Those almost never happen. By the way, that often doesn't even cause an epiphany. I had many times members who gym members who came in after severe health scares who still went all in all at once and ended up stopping. So too much too soon is setting yourself up for failure. And if you got to understand that the default is you're going to stop. So if you look at the data, consider that the odds are you're not going to be able to continue this. So make that the number one consideration, not how fast I can get results, not what is the best, most effective workout, none of that. You got to look at it and say, the number one thing I need to consider is, can I stick with this? Mm-hmm. Is this something I can do for the rest of my life? So instead of going too much too soon, you're better off going small and slow. Yep. Taking one small step at a time. Build off that. This episode is brought to you by Legion. Great supplements for fitness, health, and performance. If you're interested and you want a discount, click right here.
I mean, this is the origin of the goal is to do as little as possible to elicit the most amount of change. I know our audience is probably tired of hearing me say that. But part of why
We
I've
all got
repeated it
tattoos.
so many times is because I feel like I still have to continue to drill that into people. I mean, I have family and friends of mine that have known me for a very long time. I've been saying that for a very long time. And yet I still find myself repeating that saying because here they are, beginning of the year, all fired up and motivated. And I hear about all the things they're doing, all the things they bought, all the things they're investing in, all the changes they're making. And it's just like, whoa, what are you doing? You weren't doing any of that stuff just 2 months ago. How about we just stop that one thing, or just add that one thing, and then let's get some momentum, get some wins, get some change, adaptation, and then we'll add a little bit more to that and build some momentum. But for some reason, even though the statistics point, and I'm pretty sure most people are aware of that, we just think that we're special.
Yeah,
each one of us.
that's the one impulse that gets celebrated so much, in society. It's like, I'm so motivated and I want to take it all on, and like it's a discipline to really kind of taper that and be realistic with that, because it's a good feeling, because like I'm going to conquer all these things and I'm going to take this all on, and people don't really want to stop that momentum because they see that at least it's going in towards a positive thing, but it's going to be short-lived if we don't really apply the discipline.
It's so freeing though once you figure this out. You know how freeing it is to know, like, and I've talked about this too. I fall on and off all the time, where I'm consistent for a while, then I'm not so consistent. And figuring this piece out and allowing yourself this, you know what? I haven't really done anything for like a month or so. Like, if I just get in and do one exercise, that's a start in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like, it is so much easier for me to start back up again when I give myself that permission.
And get better results by the way.
And I get better results that way.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not that hard to commit to just that. Like, I haven't really done anything. So me going for a walk every day for a half hour, cutting out the sodas or that thing that I know I shouldn't be doing, is not a lot to commit to. And I can start doing that right now. And I'll already start to feel better and see a little bit of a difference. Like, man, that's actually once people get that through their head and realize that's a better approach, like, that's not that hard to get started then.
yeah.
No. So what you need to do is consider, when you're making your first step, is consider how you feel when you're in a not motivated or unmotivated state of mind. Because right now, you might be listening to this. It's January, beginning of the year. You're probably motivated. It's probably how you found this episode. You found this episode. You're just like, I'm going to do this. Oh, look, this is talking about sticking with it. I've tried this many times before. I failed. Let me see what the tips are. And while you're listening to this, you're motivated. You're listening to a fitness and health podcast, and you're getting good information. Yeah, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. Now consider yourself in an unmotivated state of mind. Is what you're about to do, are the steps you're going to take, ones that you can maintain in that state of mind? So what you do essentially is you take a step and then ask yourself, can I maintain this forever? And will I be able to maintain this in an unmotivated state of mind? That's the step that you take. That one right there. And it really doesn't matter what that step is. Maybe that step is literally, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes after breakfast and lunch. I'm going to start there. Or maybe that step is, I'm going to go to the gym 1 day a week, because I know for sure, I feel confident for sure, I can at least make it to the gym 1 day a week for the rest of my life. When I know right now I'm motivated and I feel like I want to go every day, but when I'm unmotivated, do I think I can make it 1 day a week? I think I can. That's where I'm going to start. And that's where you start. And then what you do is you stay there until it feels like it's a part of your life. Until it feels like a habit. It's something you do, like brushing your teeth or whatever. It's just something you do. And then you do that again. All right, what's another step I can take that is realistic for the rest of my life? Something that I know I can maintain in an unmotivated state of mind. And the cool thing about this is each one of those steps, the space in between them gets shorter as you build upon. In other words, that first step, between the first and second step, might take you a few months. You might only go once a week for 3 months. But then you take another step and you go 2 days a week, or you add something with diet. Each time you take a step, the distance between them gets smaller, and each step tends to get bigger as you build upon it. So it is a snowball effect. But this approach is far more likely to help you stay consistent. It's far more likely to be sustainable than capturing the motivation that you have now and saying, I'm going to do as much as I can, and I'm motivated and excited about it. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when you get newlyweds, when you look at the data on premarital counseling, one of the things that they'll explain to them is, you're not going to feel like this for the rest of your marriage. Your whole marriage is not going to feel like you right now. Like right now, you couldn't imagine being apart. Right now, you guys are looking at each other
the
saying,
butterflies in the
"Oh my
fields.
God!"
That's where the term the honeymoon phase.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
honeymoon phase.
It's when this is over that the challenges start to happen, and so that's what they tend to counsel them on. The way you feel right now will go away. How do we keep you to continue going? How do we keep these fitness goals? It's something that you desire and something you're able to contribute to. And you got to start with small steps, not too much. Which, by the way that the body adapts to fitness, the way that the body gets stronger, more fit, the way the body gets leaner, it actually works better to take small steps anyway.
Yeah.
Too large of steps.
You can overdo it.
You can overdo it. You often do overdo it, and people do see results overdoing it, but it's not because they're doing so much.
Short-lived, though.
It's short-lived, and it's in spite of the fact that they're overdoing it. In fact, a good trainer, a very good experienced coach or trainer will pull you back when you approach them with this motivation and say, no, you're not working out at all right now. You want to come 4 days a week? Way too much. Let's start maybe once or twice a week.
The second biggest reason why I think I see people fail is also neglecting strength training and pursuing the calorie burn approach.
Yeah.
Signing up for some, Group X class, signing up for a marathon or a Spartan race, or, picking up running every single day, or going to some class that's centered around sweating and cycling. Like, they go after the burn a bunch of calorie approach. They went from holiday eating sweets and overeating and drinking and enjoying themselves to cut all the drinking, eating bad food off, eating clean, and let's go burn like crazy.
Run everything.
Has to be the number one strategy that fails that people attempt to do at this time.
Well, there's two reasons for that. One is the calorie burn that you get from exercise really isn't that much. That's just a fact, right? So the amount of calories that you burn while you're moving, although you're sweating and it's much more than when you're sitting down, it's not that much, okay? An hour of hard workouts, regardless of what your cardio machine says, because those things lie, they actually will tell you you're burning twice as many calories you are. You're burning maybe 400 or 500 calories, okay? Maybe 700 if you're lucky. That's very easy to cover with food. And the body adapts by learning how to burn less calories with that type of activity. What you want to do is you want to incorporate strength training. Now, why? You're building lean tissue. You're building muscle. Muscle burns more calories on its own, so you get a little bit of a metabolism boost. It also improves insulin sensitivity. It sets you up for better success later on. Now, the data on this is quite clear. Strength training in combination with diet results in more fat loss than in other forms of exercise in combination with diet. Strength training needs to be the cornerstone of your routine if you're looking to improve your health, your fitness, and if you want fat loss. Not just weight loss, but actual fat loss. And strength training is phenomenal because you can watch yourself get stronger and you can see that you're doing a good job. It's not just based off of how fatigued you are. So strength training needs to be the crux. The other amazing thing about strength training is you don't need to do much of it.
Yes.
1 day a week for a beginner is enough to elicit incredible changes in strength. And I can actually stay 1 day a week for a long time with somebody before ever having to add an extra day. Other forms of exercise tend to require more to see the same kind of results. So, and the data again is quite clear that strength training is probably the most valuable form of exercise if you only had to pick one.
And because you're building yourself up too, like a lot of times, people don't realize what that does in terms of your motivation, your consistency as well. And so to be able to, still be fed, but I'm building my muscle tissue, provides more strength. It actually like promotes more movement in general as a byproduct of that. And it's something too that now you have all these new abilities that you can build upon. And it's just so much easier for you to kind of like progressively overload that versus like I'm going straight calorie burn phase. Like that is like a downward spiral to get you to a point where you feel super depleted and super energy deprived.
I wish we had a good visual for someone to see, like comparing 5 sets of squats 1 time a week to somebody who goes out and goes for these runs and burns all these calories. And let's say that you have one person, right, decides I'm going to go burn like crazy, and they're going to do the 3 to 5 day a week spin classing and doing that approach. And this other person's I'm going to listen to these mind pump guys, and I'm going to do this real slow, very slow, methodical approach, and I'm just going to squat 5 times and once a week, and every week I'm going to try and get a little bit stronger.
Yeah, we should run our own study.
It would be a really cool experiment to show people
way less work and better results.
Way less work, right? Especially if you like when you looked at after say 2 months, the amount of time that one person spent at those spinning classes or running, and the amount of time that person who just did 5 sets of squats 1 day a week, the ROI, that's what I mean by the visual. I wish you could see the visual of the ROI on those two things. If you went after, and then you went forward 3 months, this person only did 1 day a week, lifted 5 sets of squats, slowly got stronger week over week, adding a little bit of weight to the bar. This person took spin class 3 times a week, every week, consistently for the next 3 months. Let's see where those two people end up. Guarantee you that person, let's just say all diet stuff is the same, equal. Yeah. The person who did those squatting would be so much further ahead than that other person.
And feel better too. Yep. Strength training is, it builds the body up. It's youthful hormone profile because of the way that it affects insulin sensitivity, the way that it increases androgen receptor density, meaning your body's anabolic hormones now have a more places to attach to, so your testosterone becomes more effective, both for men and women. It's important in women as well. It's rejuvenating. By the way, this is less and less becoming a secret. It used to be, we used to have to really preach this. Hey, Map Starter is the best workout program if you're just getting started with strength training. Click right here for more information. But we're seeing now women adopt strength training at incredible rates because they're trying it, they're doing it, and they're coming back saying, I feel better, I'm leaner, I'm doing less work, I can eat more food, I look better. Like this is a much more effective way of exercise. Strength training should be the foundation of your routine. Now, there's benefits to all form of exercise. And so now if you have a preference, you love running, you love cycling, it's your favorite thing to do, then go for it. But if you're listening to this, you're getting started, you want the minimal time to produce maximal results, then do strength training. By the way,
can I call something out of that, what you just said too? Because I know we say that to protect ourselves from the amount of people that, I love to run. And like, I never want to discourage somebody who's listening to this show and has been running for the last decade and it's a part of their life and they love doing it. But I can't tell you how many times someone sat across the desk from me who needs to lose 30 to 50 pounds. And then they tell me that they're going to go about it running because they love running. And my response back to that person is, you wouldn't be in this fucking situation right now if you loved running. Right. If you actually loved it and did it consistently, but instead you haven't done it for years or decades, and you're telling me that this is the modality that you want to choose to get in shape, and I'm trying to tell you it's probably not a good strategy, and you've probably already proven to yourself you're not going to do it forever. That's the person that I think is so important to address, because if you already like running and doing those things,
you're doing it now.
You're doing it. You're doing it now. You're already doing it. You're not doing it just start in January. But there's a lot of people that say that shit.
Yeah.
And then every January they're saying that shit again. And it's like, no, you don't, because you haven't actually done it for an entire year. You do it for a short season. You lose a few pounds. You attach the losing the few pounds to getting ready for that run that you like to do as your favorite way to get in shape. And it's like, no, it's not keeping you in shape.
And it wasn't successful because you lost weight before because you gained it back.
That's right.
It's only successful if it's something that's maintainable.
That you do, regardless.
Right. By the way, strength training, when we talk about strength training, it's not just working out with weights. Strength training, it's working out with resistance, which can be weights. It could be machines. It could be body weight. It could be bands. In a way to build strength and muscle. So it's not circuit training. It's not group exercise. It's not going from one machine to another with no rest. It looks and is a lot like traditional bodybuilding. You do a set of 10 reps. It's hard. You rest for 2 minutes. You repeat the set. That's the strength training that we're talking about. That's what produces the type of results that we're talking about. It's traditional strength training. It is not just working out with weights, because you could use weights and do lots of different activities, but it not be strength training.
Yeah, that's F45. That's Orange Theory. That's what you see with a lot of these.
It's not the tool; it's the way, right? Because I could use no weights, no machines whatsoever. Use body weight and make it strength training, and I can also use barbells and dumbbells and turn it into a circuit training class, which has nothing to do with strength training. Next, this is a big mistake, and I think the reason why this one's is so common is precisely because when people first get started, part of the motivation is they're, I don't know, for lack of a better term, self-disgust with how far they've come or where they're at now. And they're like, I want to get out of this. So what they do is they use exhaustion, soreness, intensity. Like the harder the workout is, the more of a punishment it is, the more grueling it is, the more it feels like I survived, then that means it's a good workout. That means I'm doing a great job. And I think there's two reasons why people do this. Because by the way, that's a terrible gauge of whether or not you had a good workout. The people that work out, that should work out, where it looks like they're surviving, are extremely fit, high level, incredible, like typically athletes or people who've been training for so long and so consistently that this is their fitness level. Very few people should train like this. And even those people don't train like this often. They do it in season, okay? In seasons, in short spurts.
Those competitions.
The reason why this attracts people is, number one, I think people think they'll get better results the more they beat themselves up. So if I could just kill myself in the gym, I'm going to get results even faster. So that's one reason. The second reason is it does feel cathartic initially because of this self-loathing, this self-disgust, this, oh my God, I'm fat, or I don't look good, or I hate the way I fit in my clothes, and so I'm going to go to the gym and beat the crap out of myself. And it's cathartic to beat this person up who has let themselves go, so far, or let themselves get to this place. And so you leave the gym. I'll never forget when this really dawned on me as a trainer. I had a new member, and they signed up, and I saw them the next day, and they finished a crazy workout class, and they came out, and they're sitting on the bench, and I could look like they were going to throw up. And I said, hey, how was the workout? And the guy puts up his finger, like, I can't talk right now. And he's kind of breathing. And so I'm standing there waiting for him. And then he finally says, man, it was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah, and I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, I think I'm going to have to sit here for a little while, and got a little dizzy. And he's like, but that was great. And I remember thinking, like, what? When is that ever great where you feel like that? Like, when is that ever great? It was great to him because he hated himself. That's why he did this workout. And of course, he thought he was doing an effective job. That's not how the body works. The body adapts to stress, but if the stress is too high, it will overcome your body's ability to adapt. Your body's just going to worry about healing. And this is when people hurt themselves, or they just overtrain. They overdo it, and their body plateaus so hard. This is where you see those people in the gym that seem to sweat their butts off, work real hard, can't seem to figure out how to lose that last 15 pounds. What's going on? Your body is frozen in time because the stress is too much for your body to adapt to. So if you're not doing anything now, a little bit more than you're doing is enough to elicit change. That's it. Any more than that is more than is required and will probably set you back.
There's also a third example or third person that's addicted to that, and that's the cortisol junkie.
Yeah.
Those are also some of the hardest people to convince that this is not the best strategy either, because they swear they feel better.
Yeah.
It's exhilarating. For them.
Yes. I mean, I remember having a really tough time convincing clients that were beating themselves up like that because they didn't see it as beating themselves up. They looked at it, I pushed really hard, and oh my God, I feel
accomplished,
so good afterwards.
Yeah.
They weren't grasping or wanting to throw up for air. There's that example of the self-loathing, beat themselves up, punish themselves people. Then there's the people that are really just addicted to the cortisol dump and actually swear that they feel better after the workout because of that. And those people are really hard to convince this is not ideal for them.
Now, the reason why cortisol does feel good, by the way, a lot of people don't realize this. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It is designed to release energy to get you out of a stressful situation.
Your energy in the morning too.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be high in the morning, right? Because that's what wakes you up. And but if cortisol is high for too long, it burns muscle or it pares muscle down. It encourages visceral fat storage. It's inflammatory. We know this now. It's all marketed, right? People understand this now. Too much cortisol all the time, not good for you. But if you get a little squirt of it with a hard, crazy, beat myself up workout in the short term, oh, I'm alive again, and then it goes away, and then I'm alive again, and it goes away. No. Don't use exhaustion, soreness, and intensity as gauges of a good workout. Here's what you should use as a gauge of a good workout. Is your fitness improving? Are you stronger? Are you more fit? Do you feel better? Do you feel more energy? You should feel better at the end of your workout than you did at the beginning. You should not feel like you survived. So I'll repeat that. At the end of your workout, if you don't feel like you have more energy and vigor than you did at the beginning, you overdid it. Literally. And people are so confused by this. Yeah. They think, wait a minute, I should have more energy and more vigor at the end of my workout? Well, maybe I didn't work out hard enough. No, you should leave the gym feeling like I'm going to tackle the day, or I feel so great. You should not leave the workout being like, I need to go sit on the couch.
I survived.
Or I need to, I'm going to drive home. My legs are going to be shaking. And when I get home, I'm going to get in a hot bath and I'm going to go to bed. No, too much. You should feel better at the end of the workout. If you feel better at the end of your workout and you're seeing yourself slowly progress each time, especially with strength, you are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, this is, it's funny because I think back and I totally had that martyr syndrome where I just wanted to crush and bury myself and could barely even walk, in a few days. I think about how ineffective that was and just how much further I could have got performance-wise and strength-wise, even playing athletics. It was just astonishing to me, but finally working through that psychology and being on the other side of it, it's amazing how easy it is once you subscribe to that and you realize I could put this effort in, I could feel better after my workout, and then I could come back and I could do the same thing, and then you're just building and building and building.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, I have a free guide that teaches you how to lose fat in 3 steps, just 3 steps that will burn the most amount of body fat and help keep it off. This guide is totally free. We're giving it to everybody right now. If you want it, click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, back to the show.
Well, bringing up your story, Justin, I think is so important because when I think of the clients that were really hard to convince, I think of the cortisol junkie, and then I think of the ex-athlete.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a reason why someone like yourself even fell into that trap. It's because it served you in sports. Especially a sport like football.
Well, when you're competing.
You are supposed to push.
Yeah,
Game day, you're supposed to push until you almost die. You want every last ounce out of you.
You can't feel pain. Yeah.
There's a reason to push beyond what the body needs. There's that mental fortitude is an important attribute to successful athletes. And so through your athletic career, that way of training has served you, even though you probably admit you could probably have done it still better and a better approach knowing what you know now. But even then, there's at least some benefit to training an athlete to those pure exhaustion like that, because it translates into game time. In the pursuit of health and fitness, longevity, building muscle, burning body fat, it has no place.
That's separate.
It has no place. Yeah. But convincing an athlete that training that way has served them for so long is really difficult to do. I think those are the 2 hardest clients I ever had. The cortisol junkie, which was my moms that love the Group X classes like crazy because they get that dump, right, and that relief. And then my ex-athletes, that's how they did things their entire life. And so how dare this young 20-year-old trainer convince them that this is not a good approach?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole belief like that. Like people will watch Navy SEAL training and be like, man, those guys are getting fit. No, Navy SEALs are fit when they get into BUD/S training. All they're testing is their mental fortitude. They're not trying to get them fit. They're just seeing who can last.
See who's going to break.
100%. The next thing that people do that really messes them up is they focus on the scale. Oh, the pesky scale. What the weight on the scale says is telling me whether or not I'm doing a good job. All the scale tells you is mass, total mass, bone, muscle, skin, body fat, water, hair. Like that's what it tells you is mass. In other words, if you lose a limb, the weight on the scale goes down. Is that a good thing? No, you lost a limb, right? You can lose muscle, and people often think, oh, this is great, I'm losing weight, even though they're fatter as a percentage of their body weight because they lost muscle. The scale lies so much to people that people will judge their entire plan based on what the scale says and ignore how they feel. I've had people in my gyms who feel terrible, but will tell me that they're successful because the scale is going down. Or people who feel amazing, they're stronger, they're leaner, their body fat percentage is lower, but then they go on the scale and the scale hasn't moved.
Crushes them.
And they're, oh my God, this is a total dismal failure. I think the best gauge of whether or not you're moving in the right direction, especially when you first get started, has nothing to do with scale.
Strength.
Everything to do with performance.
Yeah.
Are you more fit? Are you stronger in particular? If you're getting stronger, congratulations, you are moving in the right direction.
It's actually kind of crazy when you think about how irrelevant the scale is to body composition that we even use it as a tool.
Yeah. Body fat percentage.
It's so irrelevant.
Yeah,
I mean, how many times have you either personally yourself or taken a client and completely changed the way they look, perform, move, and feel, and the scale not go in any direction or go the opposite direction they thought they wanted to go?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's so irrelevant. You can take somebody who's completely deconditioned, out of shape, and they not move a pound up or down on the scale and completely change that person's body composition.
If you looked at a picture of a 6 foot, 200 pound man at 25% body fat and put it next to a picture of that same man, 200 pounds, 10% body fat, they would look radically different.
Radically different.
Radically. 25%, he's got a belly, he's soft, he looks flabby. 10%, he's got a six pack, he's got delts, he's got muscle. You take a 130 pound female at 35% body fat and put her next to the same picture of her, same body weight, 20% body fat, radically different. So the scale, it just tells you total body mass. Unless you're going to use it with a body fat test to see where lean body mass is or whatever, throw that thing away. In fact, for the first 3 months of your workout, of your fitness journey, you shouldn't weigh yourself at all because it's going to actually discourage you from doing the right things.
Yep.
Don't use a scale, use performance. If you're stronger, you're moving in the right direction. If you're not getting stronger, then we need to look at what's going on here, which takes us to the last part, which is this. This is the biggest mistake. You don't have a plan. Your plan consists of, I'm going to work out.
Yeah.
There's a lot that can happen within a workout that can determine success or failure. You need to have a plan in terms of what I'm going to do, what works, what doesn't work. Exercises are not just the means to an end. The exercises themselves all have specific values. The order in which you do the exercises, the way you apply the exercises, the rep ranges, the tempos, the sets, all those things go into a formula known as workout programming. And workout programming makes a massive, massive difference on whether or not your body progresses or not. I mean, I've taken
exponentially more effective.
How many clients did you guys take on that worked out? They were already working out. They hired you. All you did was change the workout programming. Actually, in fact, that's the main thing we do.
Yeah.
Change the work. And then boom, tremendous results.
Because you get the argument like it's better than nothing. Like if I start going to the gym and I'm just kind of figuring it out or using machines and just kind of, like freelancing it versus really knowing specifically here's the exercises to, work my muscles I need to work for this day. And here's the rest periods and here's the amount of reps and sets. And, it's all dialed in, it's all done. And you can actually track and see how this progression occurs versus winging it. You're kind of out there on a limb.
Especially at the beginning, because at the beginning, what can happen too, like the scale can lie to you. Your programming can lie to you. Because if you haven't done shit for however many months, eat crappy, and then all of a sudden you decide the new year comes around.
You'll see something.
Yeah, you'll see something, and you're not, and you can have a terrible workout program and still see some results when you've come from doing nothing at all. When you make diet changes and you start creating activity in your lifestyle, that already is going to elicit change. So what is deceiving?
That plateau hits.
That's right, and then that hard plateau hits, and you don't know what to do, especially when you really misgauged and you overdid, which is what most people do. So having a plan of this is how I should methodically scale is so important at the very beginning. Otherwise, you're led to believe what you're doing in the gym is working for you when it really isn't.
That's why we have a program called MAP. We have a lot of fitness programs, but we created one called MAP Starter, which is specifically for people getting started. It's literally a plan to take you from doing nothing to now incorporating strength training and doing it in the right way so that you get the best possible results. So that program right there is the one we recommend that people get started with. And because of this episode, it's half off. It's mapstarter.com with the code START2025, and you can get it half off. Very small investments, very inexpensive, but it's a plan. You get the exercises, you know when to do them, how many reps. It's all laid out for you. There's demos, the whole deal. So do that one.
With that, we do have some questions. How should I start with strength training?
Right there.
Slow. Maps Starter is a great program. So just to give you a little bit more detail, Map Starter takes into account that you either haven't worked out in a while or you've never done strength training before. It incorporates exercises that teach you how to strength train, build the techniques involved in strength training, because strength training exercises are skills, right? So presses and rows and squats.
The skill of stability.
And we use a stability ball in many of the exercises in Starter to teach you how to engage your core, how to have proper posture and technique. You build upon this program, by the way. This is a 3-month program. After this, you have a nice solid foundation to move into more advanced programs.
And do not make the mistake that so many people do with this program is they think, oh, it's not enough. If you have not been training or you have never trained and you're getting started right now at the new year, this is enough. In fact, it's what you should start with. And then you'll build your way into MAPS Anabolic and some of the other programs that we have later on. MAPS Starter is perfect for that. I mean, I remember when I had to tell Katrina this after pregnancy, and she wanted to get back into things, and it's been, 6 months or whatever they make her take off. And then she was getting back, or 6 weeks, getting back to getting started. And she's like, this is so basic and easy, hon. It's enough. You haven't been doing anything for the last 6 weeks.
The efficacious
Trust me,
dose.
this is enough. This is enough, and you're going to see change result. Be patient. And then sure as shit, be patient. She sees the results, and then she's good to go for MAPS Anabolic with that. So do not make the mistake of thinking it's not enough.
What about cardio?
Cardio, there's nothing wrong with it. Great way to improve your health.
Walk.
But yes, I'll say this. If you're just getting started, here's how you incorporate movement. Walk every day. How do I walk every day? Well, you could schedule 30-minute walks every day, or the best way to do this,
Increase activity.
do 10-minute walks after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The effect on blood sugar levels, insulin sensitivity, and health are profound from that simple way of applying walking. 10 minutes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's already attached to something you do anyway, which is eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's 10 minutes. You don't need to change into workout clothes or anything. And 10 minutes after breakfast, lunch, and dinner is more effective than an hour done separately. In other words, half as much done because it's postprandial right after you eat. It has, again, profound effects on insulin sensitivity. So it's very, very good for health. That's the best way to start.
I either love habit stacking and doing the 10-minute method like that, or the other thing I like is clients that like to have a set time and routine that they always go to the gym. So you're there 5-6 days a week. That's my time. You do your MAP starter program on the days that don't call for the strength training. You walk on the treadmill. So if you like that, because I like that also, where someone's like, hey, this is my time every day at 8 a.m. I'm at the gym or whatever it is, and yet that day doesn't call for strength training because you did it the day before.
20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, then 20, 30 minutes or even an hour of walking, that every single day.
What supplements should I take?
So multivitamin is probably a good place for most people to start. If you're lacking an essential nutrient that could have pretty big impact on your overall health and how you feel. And nutrient deficiencies are relatively common, believe it or not. Vitamin D and magnesium and zinc in particular. So multivitamin. And then from there, creatine. Creatine has profound health and longevity benefits. It builds muscle and strength, and it indirectly helps burn body fat through the muscle building process. It's good for the brain. It's good for the skin. It's the most studied supplement in history. It's extremely safe, unless you're told explicitly by your nephrologist not to take creatine, which is rare. That's the supplement I recommend everybody. It's a longevity health supplement. It used to be just for bodybuilding because it does make you stronger and help build muscle. But all the data now is showing, man, this is a very, very good supplement to take for health.
So if you're just getting started, I'm going to suggest that you get a full panel and get your blood work and see where you're potentially deficient in, because nothing will make as big of a difference as supplementing for what you're deficient in. I've never met a client, one, that isn't deficient in vitamin D, magnesium, iron, something. So finding out what you're lacking is what I think everybody should do at some point, is to make that investment, get that, find out what that is, so you learn about yourself and you actually supplement for those things. Then the second thing I would say probably to invest in is that the second most important thing is a protein powder, and that's not because I think everybody should just take a protein powder. It's that I've yet to meet anybody that hits their protein targets consistently, and so having a supplement like that ready to go for the days that you miss your protein targets or are about to miss your protein targets, I think that's something that is extremely valuable. And above all other supplements, you making sure you hit your protein intake will give you more ROI than any other supplement you'll find in the market.
Agreed. And again, the program that we have for beginners is MAPS Starter. It's half off for this episode. You can find it at mapsstarter.com. Use the code START2025 for the 50% off discount. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. 30% body fat. For men, this is way too high. This is actually a bit high for women as well. So in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible, but not if you guess along the way. So we're going to talk about how you can do that in today's episode.
Now, there's a huge range, right, of like body types.
Yes.
Some people can run a little bit heavier or a little bit higher body.